This video is dedicated to all the people who are empaths, who are overgivers, who suffered in their life from their own sensitivity. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jane. I'm a life coach, a women's coach. In this channel, we speak a lot about self-development, how you may hack this reality, your reality, and become your most happiest, abundant self. Today I chose a life-changing topic, as in the last months I've been going through my own period of huge realizations. I've been in therapy and my world was just turning upside down, crying, releasing, making conclusions. And now I want to share with you something special, something important, something that may change your life for good. If you've been not understanding why your whole life you are so attuned to the energy of other people and you give and give and give and you don't receive back the way you give to others, we're going to discuss that. Where does it come from? Why empaths have a talent, but at the same time they suffer a lot in their life by having unbalanced connections, by attracting overtakers and people who simply use their empathy and their ability to give. I am an empath myself, being super sensitive to other people's emotions and feelings. I couldn't understand why I'm that person who gives a lot. That's how I felt. And I was meeting people who were consuming my energy, consuming my empathy to the extent that I felt completely depleted and drained. And at some point, I was feeling so sad, disappointed in overall connections in my life. I realized that I'm afraid to make friendships because I simply don't want people to use me. And I don't want people to take from me all the time. One of the most valuable thing in life is your energy and your attention. And I believe that's also one of the most expensive things. Yes, if you have money, you can buy whatever you want. But when we're speaking about human connection and interaction, one of the most valuable thing that the one human being can give to another human being is the attention, is the presence. Empaths are usually people who are extremely sensitive to other people's emotions, and most often they are those people who would be present with you, who would sit with you, who would listen to you, who would give you all the attention, which is so valuable. We undervalue that because every person needs a human being. Every person needs when someone is able to truly listen. That's why people pay so much money to therapists, to psychologists, because these people are able to listen to them. And it is hard to find people who are able to listen to you because everyone's are just focused on their own life, on their own things that are going on themselves. That's why people pay huge checks to psychologists, to coaches, because they simply need a conscious person, an aware person who would listen to them, who would listen without judgment, who would listen without cutting down your sentence and speaking about themselves. People just want to feel heard. Empaths are those people who give you that presence, who give you that attention, who are great listeners. And because they're so sensitive, they're able to truly feel how you feel and provide you with that empathy. You finally feel like you're seen, you're heard, you're understood. And this is the most fulfilling feeling, I would say. on the one hand, it is a certain talent, it is a certain strength that you may use, for example, in your work, or simply by creating a strong connection with other people. On the other side, there is disadvantage, because empaths are those people who overgive. They overgive their time, they overgive their attention. And an empath is a person who can easily read your facial expression. These are people who were traumatized when they were kids, who were traumatized because they most probably had a parent who was either emotionally unavailable or emotionally unstable. So this parent could be one day super nice with them, super kind, super loving, and the other day this parent could be cold, could be abusive, could be manipulative. And when the kid is small, his main caregiver, of course, is his parent. So out of survival mode, the kid learns to be adaptive or adaptable. Correct me. The kid becomes so adaptive and so sensitive to the mood of his parent. He can easily detect what kind of mood his parent has. He is super sensitive to the energy of the parent, because this is the mechanism of the survival. Because this is the main caregiver and the kid has no other option but to adapt to the mood of his parent. And that's why this kid learns that in order for me to be loved or protected by my parent, I need to adapt and I need to be a good guy or a good girl. This is where the syndrome of a good girl comes. You are a good girl because you're still trying to earn the love of your parent, and you project it on everyone in your life. It's interesting how our relationships with parents basically rewire us for our whole life, for the rest of the life, and we project those relationships on other people, on our partners, on our friends, and the cycle repeats itself until you become aware of that pattern, until you understand, why am I being a good girl all the time? Why am I constantly trying to please other people? What is going on inside me? I could not understand what's going on with me when I am interacting with some of the people in my life. And those people were simply projections of the relationships with a certain parent in my life. I started observing why in the presence of this person, I lose myself. I lose my authenticity, I lose my inner power, and I get this another personality out, another Jane that is trying to be good, that is trying to please, that is trying to constantly give, to feel the emptiness. When I started observing that, it was a long journey of transformation. I was going through the therapy. I started learning that this is the behavior of the empath. This is the behavior of the overgiver. A person who got the trauma of rejection in the childhood and learned that he cannot be who he is. He needs to deserve love. He needs to be good to get the love of another person. And the truth is that this person is not trying to get the love of his friend or of his partner. This person is trying to deserve the love of his parent. Until you heal your inner child, until you give all the love to that part of you that still seeks for love, for validation, for approval in other people, you will continue the cycle of people pleasing, of overgiving, and of constantly feeling depleted. And who do you think an empath usually attracts? Who do you think an overgiver usually attracts? Of course, he attracts the opposite, these two extremes. So the empath would attract the narcissist. An empath would attract the overtaker, the person who believes that receiving is something that he deserves, and that something is normal, and that he doesn't need to give anything back. This was normalized for him when this person was a kid. There were no boundaries, and this kid was receiving everything without learning that it's important to give back. It is important to have this exchange. An empath attracts the narcissist, the person who would take and take and take. And life universe is actually very smart, because you attracting narcissist is actually a great lesson for you, because this narcissist that comes to your life shows you how to start loving yourself, how to start choosing yourself, how to receive with ease without feeling of guilt. Receive like this is something natural. This is your birthright to receive. So the role of narcissist is also important. Although it is a painful lesson, it is such a painful lesson, especially for the empaths. The key here is not to become another extreme and be the narcissist and say, now I'm just gonna take and that's it. And usually this happens when an empath, and this has happened to me at some point, when an empath realizes this whole structure, he becomes so mad at those people who were using him. And because of this auto-aggression, if you don't have the right support in your life, he slides to the other extreme and he becomes aggressive to other people, and he may become narcissistic. The key here is to realize this whole pattern, to realize that it is impossible to build healthy, beautiful connection, intimacy, when you're constantly trying to please another person. And this is not attractive. This is not authentic. The most authentic energy is the energy when you are being who you are, unapologetically, when you are allowing yourself not to please, maybe say no sometimes, maybe express silence when you have nothing to say, and stop feeling this emptiness, to allow yourself to be you, and to allow yourself to experience rejection. Because some people, once you stop being an empath, once you heal that part of you, this has happened to me. Some of the people in my life just left because it was a shock for them. Why am I not pleasing them? Why am I not constantly boosting the interaction with my energy? When I learned to express boundaries, when I learned to listen to myself and feel, do I truly want to interact with this person? Do I truly want to now give this talent of mine to the person? And the most beautiful thing is when you learn to say no, when you become aware of this pattern, when you see the root of it, that you're still trying to get validation and approval by being a nice guy, by being a nice girl. And stop it. And allow yourself to be a bad guy, a bad girl. And this is the most attractive energy, the energy of authenticity. When you embody this energy, when you are centered in your body. You are the magnet to other people. I've experimented with that many times. Once I was centering, rooting myself within, I was constantly seeing how people start to text me, call me, ask me, let's go and see each other, let's meet, let's interact, because I was simply taking my energy back. And from that point, you can choose where you want to pour this energy. You can pour this energy into interactions, friendships, love relationships that are balanced, where the exchange is equal, where you equally give and you receive. Another important thing is for empath, for overgiver, it is extremely important to learn how to receive. I actually have a very special video on my YouTube channel, which is called A Woman That Receives. And in this video, I share with you how I transformed my ability to receive, especially as a woman. And it is very important for the woman to know how to receive. For overgiver, for an empath, your task would be to learn to receive and to stop giving. First, you need to come to your wholeness. Just remember that feeling when you unconsciously start pleasing another person. What is going on with you? It feels like you're operating from the place of fear. You're trying to feel the emptiness of your conversation, of your connection. But what if you would try to center yourself, to come to your body? Body practices really help with that. Sport, yoga, breath work, meditation. To center yourself, to realize how beautiful you are, that you don't need to deserve, that you don't need to constantly give in order to be valued. That you can be who you are, and this energy is so freaking magnetic. And to stay in it, to maintain it, to not allow people to use you because you know your value, because you know your sense of worth, because you know how valuable your talent of empathy is. It is one of the most valuable things in this world. It is the presence. Every person wants to be heard. Every person wants to feel seen, to be understood. And this is your power. So realize this power. Start valuing, cherishing that power. Know your worth and don't give your energy. Spread it on people that do not reciprocate this valuable diamond that you offer to this world. Remember how worthy, how valuable you are, my dear empath. Bring back your power. Remember who you are. Activate your authenticity. Learn how to receive unapologetically and allow yourself to finally receive. Allow yourself to finally see how people would respond to you if you would stop pleasing, because this is also a form of manipulation. By you pleasing others, you are manipulating another person. It's like, I'm gonna give to you now more and more, and you give me love, and you give me approval, and you give me validation. This energy itself is repelling. This repels. A good example to that can be when you come to the shop. I actually hate this. When I come to the shop and the person who sells clothes comes to me and she starts like following me around the shop, asking me so many questions. And this energy is so repelling to me because this energy is not authentic, because she clearly wants to sell the product. She has an agenda. And this does not attract because this is something unnatural. So by you pleasing others, this is also a form of manipulation. It's not that you're a saint here, because you're also trying to manipulate another person to receive love. But you can give love to yourself. You can heal that inner child. And that's what I do in my private sessions. Find the answer, find the root, where this pain is coming from. And remember that moment and heal that side of you, that inner child that still longs for love, for healing, for validation. And now I'm helping others to heal their relationships with themselves, to heal their relationship with their inner child. And once this is done, the world changes. You enter another stage in your life because you heal yourself, you exit the position of a child, and you become an adult, healthy, mentally, physically. And from that state of being, you start attracting beautiful connections, meaningful friendships. You start earning money because the trauma is healed. Your relationships with parents is healed. And this blocks you, and trust me, this blocks you from so many things in your life. From money, from love relationships, from good connections, from you expressing yourself, because you're constantly living in that projection that you had with your parent. If you would like to work with me personally, for me to look at your situation deeper and heal that side, to activate the most authentic and magnetic version of you, I'm gonna leave all the details in the description box for this video for you to sign up for consultation and to transform this pain into your resource. Thank you for being here today. I love you so much. Remember how valuable, how worthy, and how amazing you are. And finally, allow yourself to be who you truly are. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye bye.